Good afternoon. Hope everybody's having an excellent day and that you were able to enjoy the fantastic weather that we were fortunate to have over the weekend. Today, we'll have a short community time, which is going to leave some room for you and your advisor to do any work on your course request prior to Wednesday's Parent Advisor Conference. Also, as February comes to a close, I want to take a moment and just share why Black History Month is important, as you've seen so much this month, and as we as a school community look to bolster our programming in this area and others as well. Uh, but I want to start with just a personal story. My grandmother, she worked as a bookkeeper, and having left the rural farm where she grew up during the Great Depression, she, like so many others, found work in the cities. During the Second World War, she spent time in Detroit assisting with the civilian war effort, mainly by crunching numbers. And then after the war, she moved closer to home, where she was a bookkeeper for a construction firm with offices that were in downtown Nashville. Like many of her fellow urban workforce peers, she would go to have lunch at the diners and the drugstores like Woolworths that were located just by her office. One day, as she sat ready to order her lunch on her lunch break, she waited and waited and waited. She flabbergasted about why the waitress was oblivious to her. She turned to the young woman beside her and she made a comment about this poor service by the waitress. The woman responded simply, it's because you're sitting beside and talking to me, a black woman. And decades later, as my grandmother recounted this story of her intersection with the student-led lunch counter sit-ins of the civil rights movement, I could still see my grandmother's pained reaction of being unaware to the situation she found herself in, and the genuine respect of the courage lived out by those students that she sat beside that day and others. As George William Curtis famously said, while we read history, we make history. And this is as true today in the 2020s as it was when he lived in the mid 1800s. As we all know, a foundation of historical context is critical to seeking truth and understanding so many of the other areas we study in school and eventually fields of work that you will be engaged in beyond college. Far too often in the history of underrepresented groups is marginalized and pushed to the side. In the case of African Americans, that history has far too often been reduced to only surface levels when discussing chattel slavery in the pre-Civil War U.S., and including the Atlantic slave trade, and then the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s. To limit this story of Black history is to deny us all the rich tapestry of culture that we all benefit from and that we should all celebrate. For any of us that appreciate the uniquely American form of jazz music or the genres it's given birth to fashion, the fashion that we all wear and so much around us, we owe it all to understand these great profiles, contributions, and stories. In 1926, when the group founded by historian Carter G. Woodson and minister Jesse E. Moreland began a week of study dedicated coinciding with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. Even 90 plus years later, the majority of history courses and textbooks push this and other diverse cultures to the side. The truth remains the same as it did in 1976 when President Gerald Ford officially recognized Black History Month, that the accomplishments of Black Americans in every endeavor throughout our history is too often neglected. Today, just as was the case for my grandmother in 1960, we often move around in our own bubbles with a lack of awareness of the swirling contexts and realities surrounding us all. And we rob ourselves of a fuller life when we do not embrace this wider span of understanding and we fail to lift these marginalized voices and stories to the forefront. This month is just one occasion to do so. It shouldn't be the limit of our learning, but really a launch pad and an annual reminder to broaden our awareness and understanding. Because these profiles and stories are not just Black American history, they are American history. And as we strive each day to continue our country on this trajectory that our founders set forth when they aimed to create a more perfect union, we are creating a more perfect union every day. I like to think that my grandmother was talking to maybe a young Diane Nash, or sitting beside a John Lewis or Marion Barry or any of the other famous household names of the civil rights movement. It's far likelier, though, that she was sitting beside another student whose name we'll never know. And that's a shame. It's a shame because her actions were no less heroic. Contribution of hers and countless others throughout history deserve to be elevated. I am thankful to be a part of a community here at Randolph where faculty, staff, and you, our students, proactively seek out opportunities, not just this month, but throughout our time here, to raise the awareness of a diverse cast of voices. We see this across our curriculum when we study literary works by authors such as Toni Morrison, profiles of entrepreneurship like Madam C.J. Walker, the pioneering of astronauts such as Mae Jemison, jazz pieces by Miles Davis, and the strides in mathematics by Katherine Johnson and others who helped our space program, or the scientific research of Percy Julian. The value of this month is in the value of celebrating the far too often ignored stories. This history affects not only our current reality, but also the future that you, as the young men and women who will build our next future, endeavor. As noted, while we read history, we make history. This spring athletic season is upon us, and as we see, the full week of contests this week really begin. Baseball, who opened up their season this past Saturday, have 3 games this week versus Madison County, DAR, and Hanceville. Boys and girls soccer, who have had several games canceled due to weather so far in this early season, have 2 games, today versus Coleman at home and Saturday at Hazel Green. Softball gets the season really going with 3 games versus Lee today at home, and then on the road Tuesday and Thursday at Mae Jemison and Columbia, respectively. Tennis, we'll see matches with New Hope, Madison County, Whitesburg Christian, and Madison Academy. And track and field has the Gunnersville as the outdoor season gets underway for the relays on the lake. Saturday, our boys basketball season ended in the Sweet 16 round at Anniston. It was a tough turnaround after another nail-biting victory the night before, Friday night, against New Hope. As you'll see in this clip, our team had a sideline inbounds with just over 20 seconds left in the game. The score was tied at 58. Our guys executed their call to perfection as Andrew Hunter hit Grayson Davenport on the backdoor cut for the basket that was the difference for the win. With distancing protocols in place this year, there weren't as many on our side of the gym that night to witness this live. Thankfully, there was a great distance and difference from the New Hope fans on the other side of the gym. But I wanted to share that moment with all of you. I know that we'll be excited to see in the future, the return of full student sections, not just at basketball games, but all extracurricular activities like this, and concerts, plays, etc. in the future. Congratulations to our boys basketball team on a great season and a great run there in the postseason to get to the Sweet 16. In other announcements, we congratulate the members of the World Language Honor Societies who were inducted last week. Over 35 students were honored in the National Spanish Honor Society induction ceremony. And 4 students were inducted into the National French Honor Society. And 4 more into the National Junior Classical League for their engagement in Latin. Remember That course request will be due in the system Friday following your parent conference with your advisor on Wednesday. If there are ongoing conversations about honors or college prep or AP classes, that's fine. But this will help us put together the master schedule for next year. We will print out confirmation sheets of all your course requests next week. We'll pass them out to make sure that they are what you want to take next year. Also, a week from this Wednesday, on March 3rd, we'll be taking a break from your normal classes to hold a Lifetime Wellness Day. It'll be full of programming of fitness, nutrition, mental health, and even life skills. Your teachers are putting together programming now. And later this week, I'll send a link for you to sign up for sessions you would like to attend. Thank you for your time and attention today. Be excellent to each other, and seniors, you are dismissed.